On this episode of the Turnbuckle, Dragon Lee signs with WWE. We got some backstage details on Will Ospreay's NJPW contract and what's happening with Wardlow after his loss on AEW Dynamite. Folks, we're getting your favorite wrestling move into some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. Lee announced he had signed after he and Jalistico defeated FTR to win the AAA Tag Team titles on Wednesday's AAA Noche de Campeones, hope I said that correctly, event in Acapulco. Hope I also said that correctly. ESPN reported that Lee will start with the company in January for the NXT brand. An unbelievable athlete who has collected accolades and held championships across the globe, and he's just getting started, Triple H wrote on Twitter. The next chapter of Dragon Lee 95's career begins with NXT. As a result of his announcement, Lee and Jalistico then vacated the titles just minutes after winning them. According to the Cubs fan, Lee notified AAA of his status well in advance of Wednesday's show. Lee was also interviewed by ESPN saying he hoped that he could be the next Rey Mysterio. He had originally talked to former WWE head of talent relations Canyon Ceman about coming in with talks advancing after he spoke to Finn Balor a few months ago. Balor told me, "Would you like to be in WWE?" Lee said. "I said, yeah, sure, why not? It was something special for me." So this obviously bodes well for NXT and really the WWE as a whole in the future because, I mean, you're getting a guy like Dragon Lee. I mean, of all the people you could get, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a multi-time champion. He's been around the block like more than anybody can count, you know? So he's also a very experienced wrestler and he's incredibly talented. Also, he's the brother of Roosh. I didn't know that. I did not know that he and Roosh were siblings. That's amazing. This is the thing that I really like about stuff like this is, like, especially with the new format that creative has gone under, especially within the WWE and everything. Not to really, that makes it seem like there's been a drastic change in creative for like all promotions, but I think the most notable thing with this new like creative drive that WWE specifically has is like you can get like guys like Dragon Lee, you know what I mean? And I feel like if we were in the Vince regime era, I can only imagine how long it would be before Dragon Lee goes from being like this top star, you know, with all these accolades to just this regular guy in the locker room that nobody really knows about, you know. Not like a Ricochet, you know what I mean? He's been around the block, he's got a lot of experience, everybody really loves his in-ring ability, but we don't get to see it that often, and we sure didn't get to see it that often when Vince McMahon was in charge. So it's good that Triple H is here, and he's foreseeing this whole thing, and you know, when you've got a guy like Triple H in charge, it's really nice to just not have to worry. Like, I can't tell you how relaxing it feels to know that Dragon Lee is on his way to WWE, and to not have to think of, oh, what are they going to do? How are they going to mess him up? You know what I mean? Like, I'm really happy that, you know, we're going in this direction. It's definitely looking very, very promising for Dragon Lee, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do when he shows up. Next, we're going to talk about backstage details on Will Ospreay's NJPW contract and his interest in AEW. Fightful Select confirmed that Ospreay's deal is up in a little over a year in early 2024 with the man himself in an upcoming interview. He told him that he's paid very well by New Japan Pro Wrestling and his heart is still with the company as of now, and said that working with NJPW has been the right decision for him. Ospreay mentioned that he has found living in his native United Kingdom to be much more comfortable than the United States, but told Fightful that he felt welcome and quote at home during his previous appearances in AEW. Now it sounds like Will Ospreay is pretty much just going to be staying with NJPW the entire time, and I mean, to be honest with you, can you blame him? You know what I mean? He's not really in a hurry to go anywhere anytime soon, and he's been like this for like a very he's been like this the entire time. What is going to happen in the future between NJPW and AEW? That's really what I wanted to talk about, because you've got Will Ospreay being like, you know, I'm comfortable with AEW, but you can tell that, like, which is fine, because a lot of people are like this, you know, I'm comfortable over here, but I prefer to stay here, you know what I mean? Ospreay is more than likely not going anywhere, right? We're not going to see Ospreay in any other, like, ring other than a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring, a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring anytime soon, okay? And, you know, it just makes me think that, is that just going to stay that way, or is it potentially going to change? And is he going to be the only one, you know what I mean, that potentially starts like crossing over more than one? We'll have to wait and see. Finally, we're going to be talking about Wardlow and how he lost more than just a match on AEW Dynamite. Mr. Mayhem was publicly humiliated by Samoa Joe following his unsuccessful pursuit of the TNT Championship on the December 28th episode of Dynamite in Broomfield, Colorado. After the match, Joe struck Wardlow with his title belt before grabbing a pair of scissors from a toolbox under the ring. Joe then proceeded to headbutt referee Paul Turner before cutting off a portion of Wardlow's hair, drawing loud boos from fans inside the First Bank Center. Joe then held up Wardlow's man bun as a symbol of his conquest until Darby Allin made a beeline to the ring through the crowd and nailed Joe in the back with a skateboard. Allin then posed with the TNT Championship as fans cheered. So this obviously raises a large question. What's going to happen to Wardlow, man? Like, what is next for him? Because he started off like really hot, right? And you know, he won the TNT championship and everybody was really happy, but then everything kind of just like fizzled out. I don't know if this means that it's going to be some type of like repackaging for Wardlow. I don't know if we're going to see Wardlow taken off of TV for a couple weeks and then he comes back as, again, repackaging. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this is the stepping stone for that. You know, I don't know if like this is just like Wardlow's just going to go away, but then come back and still be Wardlow. You know what I mean? It makes me worry because they've immediately, now listen, I'm not complaining about Darby Allin versus Samoa Joe. I've been clamoring for Darby Allin to go after a title belt for the last like what feels like 10 years. Okay, so the fact that he's going back to the TNT championship, okay, you know what, I'm not really gonna say anything. I would like it to be MJF, just, you know, to give some shine to both of them and to carry on with their like rivalry and stuff. But the point is, you know, I mean, at least Darby Allin is getting featured on TV, you know, and he didn't have Sting behind him, which is good, which is a bigger step in the right direction. But I feel like Wardlow, like Miro, like he's just one of those guys that like he's gonna like stay over and everybody loves him and no one's gonna want to see him less. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to find him on like Dark. I don't know, man. Like, no offense to anybody who's on Dark, but like, wouldn't you rather him at least be on Rampage or Dynamite featured in some type of storyline? It doesn't even have to be for a title. I'm not over here clamoring for every single person on the roster to be with a title, but I like the idea of knowing that if they're in a storyline of any kind, like Hangman and Jon Moxley right now, I know Hangman's not cleared, right? But it's the fact that Hangman is getting featured and we're still talking about Hangman. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just glad to know that he is there and AEW is thinking of him. This just makes me believe that AEW don't really have a whole lot in the pipeline for Wardlow, and they're kind of gonna like slowly, you know what I mean, as if we don't notice, just sort of push him back down the card. And I don't want to see that because I really like Wardlow. But I mean, look, so far this is literally like the first step into what could potentially be a groundbreaking storyline. We don't actually know, to be honest. So let's be patient. Let's trust the process. Okay. Play with me in this space. We're gonna trust the process and we're just gonna see where it ends up. Hopefully it again doesn't have to be for a title. Just hopefully it ends up somewhere good. What did we talk about? Dragon Lee signs with WWE. That is a fantastic get. Okay, I can't wait to see what he's going to be doing in the future. I mean, this is probably one of the best signs that WWE could get, to be totally honest with you. I mean, move over Tegan Nox, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, Dragon Lee's that seems rude. I'm excited, okay? And it's not like I'm sitting here being like, oh, whatever, Dragon Lee. Like, no, man, Dragon Lee is an absolute fantastic wrestler. Okay, his tenure is amazing. Okay, and I can't wait to see what type of matches. I'm really just looking forward to all the matches. Axiom, Scripts, you know, Braun Breaker, he's going to be in all types of fantastic matches, and I just can't wait to see what he's going to be like. Backstage, details on Ospreay's contract. I feel like I didn't explain that well enough. I've just got this vibe that I did a terrible job explaining this. I'm just curious to see, right? Because Will Ospreay is talking about how he's not going to go. He's not really, it doesn't sound like he's leaving NJPW. So what does that mean for AEW and NJPW in the future? Like, how many people are going to cross over and how many people are going to stay, and what type of plans are they going to have in the future, depending on people's contracts and how they feel about AEW as a whole? Because again, like I said, there are people all over the place who are like, hey, that place is cool, but I don't really want to, like, you know, stay over there. I'm more comfortable being over here. A bunch of different wrestlers, obviously from a bunch of different neck of the woods, who are now sort of like making their imprint on AEW, you know what I mean? And it's very interesting to see that you've got guys who clearly are not AEW OGs, who are kind of like, when you think of AEW, that's who you think of. You know what I mean? Just like Will Ospreay, you think of NJPW when you think of him, and Kenny Omega, and wow, man, Gallows and Anderson. Because I'm trying to think of the stable name, and I'm not. I'm just trying to think of them specifically. Anyway, and Wardlow, man, I worry about you. I really do. I want you to be good. I want you to stay in people's hearts, okay? I don't want you to like fall to the wayside. I'm not saying that that's what is exactly going to happen, but it does worry me because I love Wardlow. I love him. You know, I don't want him to like, I don't know. I just don't want him to like slowly get like not featured on TV, and then an article comes out where he's talking like Miro, where of like, oh, they gave me a thing and I didn't want it, you know, and it's like, oh, you know. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about, folks. That's gonna do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, big hugs all around.